Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me for my Happy Day series. Now my Happy Day series is all about using items that are in our stash, and so I'm going to be using this stamp set for my favorite things. It's called Fly By Friends, and I'll search around and see if I can find it. I don't know if it's still out there, but if I can find it, I'll leave a link below to where you can pick it up. And I do have the coordinating dice that go with it. So we're going to make a card using this. Now any flower stamp set that you have would probably work great for this card. And then any kind of little ladybug or little butterfly images would work great too. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. Now we're going to start off. I have the stitched rectangle die here, and I cut out a panel using white cardstock. It's just slightly smaller than my card base here. Standard size card base, 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then I have the stencil for my stash, and it's a modern chevron. It's from Echo Park, and any stencil you have would work great too for this little card we're going to make today. I'm just going to place that on my panel there, and then using some fossilized amber distress oxide ink, I'm just going to go over really quickly. Now I wasn't worried about it blending. I kind of like the two-tone heavier ink spots in some areas, and distress oxide inks are wonderful because they're so smooth. I just went over my stencil and created my background panel here. I went ahead and added some water and activated that, and then let that dry a little bit, and then I grabbed the circle die and I cut out a circle that's partially hanging over that panel there. I didn't want to create a card with a full circle. Now I have a piece of vellum, and using that same size die that I used, I just pencil marked around my vellum just to give me a guideline on where I can go in. Now this is a stencil, a mini cloud edges stencil from My Favorite Things. Love the stencil, and I'm going over the vellum. Now I want to tell you that if you do go over vellum with distress oxide inks, you want to use a very light hand. Well, you can see here I just added a little pressure, and boy, that ink just went on there really heavy, so I had to wipe it off a little bit. So light-handed when you use oxide inks on your vellum. Okay, now I'm going to go in with some cracked pistachio, and I'm taking a piece of just scratch paper and using my grid line as a guide. I'm going over that bottom part of the circle there. Okay, lovely, that looks great. Now we're going to go in with the stamp set, and there's a little grass section in the stamp set. Oh, sometimes when the acetate sheet that goes on the back of your stamp sets isn't connected, and I like mine to be connected. Otherwise, I lose it on my craft desk, and I end up using it for my shaker cards. So I have that regular packaging tape. I just secure that acetate to the stamp set. That way it stays put and I don't lose it. Little tidbit. So okay, now I'm going to go in with that grass stamp and just go over my little line that I created with the cracked pistachio. I'm going to fill in that whole bottom area. I want a little grass scene on the bottom there, and I think that looks so cute. Love that. Okay, so once that is done, I'm going to place my vellum onto my little panel there that we had used the stencil on there. And using my pencil mark circle as a guide, that's how I know where to place it. Okay, now I was going to trim it down, but then I thought I'm going to add a little bit of a white border around that circle. So I'm taking a size smaller die, just slightly smaller than the circle we had cut out on that panel, and then I'm going to take the same size circle die that we used and place it on white cardstock, and I'm going to cut out a little white frame. Okay, I have my little white frame cut out. We're just going to pop everything out there, and then just using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, I'm going to secure that to the vellum. I'm using a really light amount because I know sometimes when you use a wet glue on vellum, it'll warp it a little bit, and I didn't want that to happen, so I just used a very thin amount. I'm just going to place that in like a puzzle piece And then I did smudge some cracked pistachio on the bottom there. And then I'm just going to trim off that end there. Okay, so our panel is just about ready, but I wanted to add a little bit more of a detail. So for my stash, I have a scallop edge die. I'm just taking a piece of black cardstock and I'm going to run that through the Big Shot and cut out a scallop edge. Now I thought about putting it on the side, and then I decided, well, I'm going to put it on the bottom. I think the bottom would be nice. And I just want a little bit of it to show. So just using my tape runner, I'm going to secure that scallop to the bottom there. Okay, now we're going to do some stamping. I have a piece of white cardstock, and then I'm going to stamp the larger flower in the stamp set. And I'm going to go over it with some VersaFine ink. I am going to heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. So I stamped the flower full size once, and then I just need the leaf and the flower part, so I just stamped it partially. And then I'm going to stamp 2 ladybugs of the little itty bitty cute little ladybugs. I love the sentiments in the stamp set. Ladybug hugs, butterfly wishes, just a lot of fun sentiments. Here I'm adding clear embossing powder, and then I'm just going to go ahead and heat set that. Now, to color in these images, I decided to use my oxide inks, just so it works well with my background. I'm going in with the fossilized amber all over both of the flowers. And then I'm going to take my worn lipstick, and then I changed my mind and actually decided, since the area was a little bit smaller, to use a finger dauber. So I'm just going to grab that and then go in the center with the worn lipstick. And I love the fossilized amber with the worn lipstick because it creates like a coral color. And I think that turned out so pretty. Now I'm going over the leaves with my cracked pistachio. I'm going to add a little bit of the broken china to the edge of that bottom leaf there, just for a little bit of interest there. Now the ladybugs were too small to go over with the oxide inks, and so I'm just using my alcohol markers and I'm coloring in the ladybug leaves with the red. And it looks really dark on camera. I'm sorry, my lighting's not that great, but it's a deep red, but the ladybugs aren't as dark as they look in the video. And then I'm just coloring in the body with some grays and black. I'm going to try and give you a close-up of what it looks like, that way you can see the color. So there are my images. Now I used the die to cut out the ladybugs in my large flower, and then I fussy cut out the other flower in the leaf that I made. I went right along the edges. What I'm going to curl up the ends a little bit, and then I'm going to add some dimensional adhesive behind it. And then I'm just going to place that right on top of the die cut flower here. And I just do this because it adds a nice little dimension to my little card. And for the leaf, I just added a dimension on the end and then secured it with my tape runner towards the bottom. That way it just lifts up a little bit. Okay, now we need to do our sentiment. So I have a piece of black cardstock here, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says Ladybug Hugs. Love that. I'm just going to go in with my Versamark ink, and then using some white embossing powder, I'm just going to go ahead and heat set that. And then I did trim it down, and then fishtailed both the ends there. Now I'm going to finish off the sentiment by stamping Sending You directly on that vellum. And again, I'm going to be using my VersaFine ink. And I'm just going just right above that grass line there. And then I used clear embossing powder, and then I went ahead and heat set that. Okay. I popped up that panel with some foam tape and I added it to my card base. And then I'm just going to arrange my little card decorations here. I use my tape runner for the flower top, and then for the bottom I'm going to use my glue. just so I know it stays put there. I'm going to place my flower, and then I arranged my ladybugs, and then I did add the ladybug hugs just below the sending you. As an afterthought, I decided to add the little trail, the little dotted trail for the ladybug on the vellum. Now, to make those ladybugs pop, I'm taking my white gel pen and going over the dots on the ladybug, just filling them in, just so my ladybugs stand out a lot. And then I decided to use that on the petals of the flower there. And then you can see here too, I added, this is a gold shimmer enamel dot. I just put that in the center of my flower. And then that's my card for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me for my Happy Day series. If you like this tutorial, hit that thumbs up, and if you're new and want to see more, hit that subscribe button. I wish you a lovely day, guys, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.